And what I meant was, yes, time is precious, but we have plenty of it.
Callie makes a decision about her major, and we get a verdict about Ximena's parents. Let's break down Season 5, Episode 17 of The Fosters right here on What Happened. Hey there, YouTube world, Lisa here, and thanks for coming back for another Fosters recap. This week's episode gave me some major Bachelor vibes when it came to Mariana, especially if you watched what went down on this season finale for The Bachelor and that douchebag Ari, but that's a whole nother rant that I'm not going to get into. But Mariana finds herself in a pickle with Wyatt and Logan, and while there's not two I love yous, there's two I really like yous. Yeah, on the teenage level, I think that's about equivalent. But enough of that, let's just get straight to this week's recap. The quick version, Brandon figures out what he wants to do with his life career-wise, compose scores for music and TV. Callie decides to appeal her UCSD rejection, but wants to change her major to law. Mariana and Emma end up wanting to make the same robot for their internship applications, and Jude lies to Lena and Stef about quitting the live streams with Declan, which they deem too inappropriate. Also, Stef confronts Detective Gray and ends up forging a search warrant for Patrick Malloy, so let's just say that Jude and Stef both do something that for sure will come back to bite them in the ass later in this season. Now for the long version. First up, Jude. This week's episode is titled Makeover because, well, Jude gets a makeover. During a live stream, a fan asks Jude why he looks like a banker on vacation, so Declan decides it's time to give Jude a new look. He gives Jude some of his clothes and a haircut, and while Declan and Taylor like the new look, Jude isn't so sure. It even leads to quite an awkward and funny encounter with Lena when she first sees Jude's look and tries to be supportive of it.
Are you sure I don't look too different?
Not at all, honey. I think you look totally hot. I mean, in a mom, not weird way.
At school, some kids make fun of Jude, saying he looks like he's basically dressed up as Justin Bieber on Halloween, but there's a problem. It is not Halloween. This prompts Jude to go back to his old style for the next live stream. Declan tells Jude, though, he needs to change for the fans, and they're going to love his new look, and Declan gets a little too handsy, but encourages Jude to change into some new clothes on camera. So Jude does take his shirt off on the live stream and changes, and the fans actually love it. Can you guess who doesn't love it? Yeah, Lena and Stef, and honestly, rightfully so. Lena just happens to watch one of Jude's streams to see what he is up to, and it happens to be that one that Jude changes in. Stef walks in and overhears Declan making some kind of inappropriate backdoor jokes at Jude, and the flirting is just too much for Stef and Lena. Jude unfortunately walks in at that moment and gets a stern talking to. They explain that that kind of behavior is not appropriate for someone his age, and he has no idea who could be watching the stream, and it's kind of an invitation for predators. Stef says Jude isn't allowed to do it anymore, but Jude says it's his job, and Stef compares it to the girls that she picks up for prostitution, and it just gets into a head-to-head battle. But thankfully, Lena is there to calm them both down, and they decide to give Jude one more chance to kind of clean up the live stream, but if it's too much, then it's going to be over for him. Jude ends up venting to Taylor, and she tells him to talk to Declan about everything, so Jude does, supposedly. We see Jude later tell Lena that he talked to Declan, and Declan is out, and they were dropped by imminent power, so she should be happy because, you know, he's not. Well, it turns out naughty little Jude is telling a big, fat lie, because he later gets a text from Declan, and they are still live streaming. They're just going to do it from Declan's place now. So I've never been a huge fan of this storyline for Jude, but it is kind of something that is extremely relevant right now, especially for anybody that is in this business and, you know, sitting here on YouTube like I am. What you put out online, you kind of have to think about. There could be consequences. You may say something as a joke, but it could be taken the wrong way, or maybe you thought it was a joke, or you did mean it, but now your views have changed, but the damage is still done, and things can come back and bite you in the ass. You can just ask YouTubers like PewDiePie, Key and Lolly, the Paul brothers, and many more. You just got to be careful. So that thing with Jude the thing with Jude, though, is that he is supposed to be around 15 or so he is a minor, so I get the definite concern here. You got to be careful. And this Declan kid, bad influence, needs to be reeled in, and I do not like him corrupting little Judicorn. As for Brandon, it's time for him to get off his butt and figure out his future. Grace is going away for a few days to the spa with her mom, so she kind of asks Brandon what he's going to do while she's gone. He's just like, oh, hang out, do nothing, but Grace is more asking like what he's planning on doing with his future, and that kind of scares Brandon because he's like, well, I can't apply to colleges for a year, I'm just gonna hang out. He asks Grace why she's so worried about what he's gonna do, and she just explains that since she's getting better, she's going back to school, she's gonna go back to work, so she's not gonna be around a lot, and she doesn't really want him sitting around doing nothing. Then we see Brandon snap at her, saying what he does when he isn't with her is none of her business, and I feel like, you know, that's true to an extent, but it was kind of out of character to see Brandon snap at her like that. I don't like that side of Brandon. I don't know if we've ever seen it before, but thankfully Grace handles it with, well, grace, because she says that time is precious and he should make something happen now instead of waiting around. But she doesn't really seem like she gets hurt by him snapping at her. She's just trying to, you know, say what she's learned from being sick. Well, Brandon does end up thinking about what Grace said, and he offers to help Callie with the video she's making for Ximena by offering to make some music for it. So he stays up all night and composes a song, but Callie says it's too intimidating and overwhelming. The song isn't giving the right feeling. Brandon offers to try again, but Callie kind of says, you know what, it's fine, but Brandon is not giving up. He goes to the high school and asks the music teacher about a guy named Jeff that came to talk to them once about composing music for TV and movies. Brandon gets in touch with Jeff, and Jeff shows him the process of how you really have to think about what message you're trying to convey with the scene, and you do that with your music, and the music should help enhance that but not overwhelm something. The example that Brandon gets shown is two teenagers in the woods in the middle of the night. Jeff says you could do some scary music and easily turn this scene into feeling like a horror movie, but it's actually a scene about kids falling in love, so the music needs to reflect that. Feeling inspired, Brandon gives Ximena's video another go, and it is a hit with both Callie and Ximena. The music accompanies the theme that Ximena's parents love this country and everything that they're trying to do for their family. After Grace returns home from her trip, Brandon tells her that he thinks he wants to apply to a school that has a program for film scoring, and the only thing is, it's in LA. Grace tells him he should go for it because they're going to have plenty of time together because she's getting better. She then surprises him with Coachella tickets for the next year because remember, this is really sweet. They always talked about going to Coachella together before. And this is also, though, why I feel like something tragic might be coming our way. This episode had so much talk of these two talking about time and the future and making the most of it, and Grace, you know, saying she'll be available for Coachella because she has plenty of time. Now, as the optimist, I want to say yes, these two are going to go to Coachella with each other. They're going to be happy, but I am just also getting ominous feelings. The pessimist in me, I feel like they're going to rip our hearts out here. For Mariana, her math teacher is willing to write her a letter of recommendation for the internship, but he reminds her she needs to figure out what kind of robot she's going to build because she is way behind. Mariana tries to get to work on that robot, but she is, of course, Mariana and distracted by boys, and two in particular, Wyatt and Logan. She has a great day with Wyatt, and he actually opens up to her about his mom and stuff, and they exchange some kisses, and they say, I really like you. Mariana then has a date with Logan, which is equally as sweet, and he even gives her a charm bracelet with Scariana engraved in it. They also kiss and also exchange I really like yous, and you see where I'm coming from with this Bachelor reference, right? Like, sure, she is not Ari and Ben telling two women I love you, but for a teenager saying I really like you in that tone and that way could still lead her to trouble with two different dudes. Poppy even asks Mariana if she's decided between the two guys, but Mariana says she doesn't want to be serious with two of them, but she also can't choose one because she doesn't want to break one of their hearts. Shifting gears from the love life, Poppy does ask Mariana how the robot's going along, and she says not good, and then she goes to get some more sketch paper, and I believe she goes to Jesus's room, and a sketch falls out of a maze. Mariana's inspired and goes to tell her teacher she's got an idea for her robot. She's going to make one that can navigate not just the maze in the sketch, but any maze using sensors. The teacher's actually really impressed and tells her to go for it. And as Mariana leaves, Emma actually comes walking into the classroom and there is an awkward hello. Emma then pulls out a sketch of what looks like the same maze, saying she's changed her mind about her robot and is going to build one that can navigate that maze. Yeah, let's just say the look of the teacher's face and the student next to him, their face says it all. Awkward! This is definitely going to set up for some major fighting between Mariana and Emma. The thing is, Mariana said her robot can navigate any maze, while Emma says hers would navigate that specific maze. So this is gonna be interesting. Like, is the teacher going to sit them down and say, hey, look, look ladies, you guys have the same idea what's going on here. I think you should change them and do something different. Or is he just gonna let them both create this robot and sees who is better? Like, if Jesus drew that maze for Emma, is Mariana technically copying it because she had no idea what that maze was or who it was for. She was just inspired by it. I was also kind of hoping for Emma and Mariana to fix their friendship, but I kind of have a feeling that's not going to happen. Moving on to Stef, we finally get to see her back at work, and she's asked to write up some warrants to search the homes and computers of some more names that James Stern, the guy brought in for child pornography in a previous episode, finally gave up. She then sees Sheila at the station, who informs Stef that Kyle, you remember Kyle, right? Yeah, it turns out he thinks someone's trying to intimidate him because there are suspicious cars hanging around outside the house and unknown numbers calling him and not speaking when he answers. Sheila reveals that all this started happening after Kyle wore that wire for Stef, and Kyle thinks that dirty Detective Gray is trying to intimidate him. Stef then confronts Detective Gray for harassing Kyle, but he hears that Kyle has been the one harassing Patrick Malloy. These two then go toe-to-toe as Stef brings up how he must be hiding something, and he says she's a liar too, and she tells him that if he has something on her, basically to go ahead and try to use it against her. Stef puts up a brave face, but I think she's worried because as she walks away, we see her do that anxiety breathing thing. She then goes to visit Kyle, and he explains what's been happening and even shows her a dead rat that ended up on her porch that morning. Yeah, if you're leaving dead rats on someone's porch, Stef then returns to work, and as she's making out the warrants that she was asked to do for the names on that list, she decides to throw one in. She adds in one for Patrick Malloy, prints them, and passes them off to the coworker that takes them to the judge. Yeah, I don't think this is a smart move on Stef's part. She basically kind of forged, in a sense, a warrant, and she is playing with fire here, and now her job is even more at risk, and I hate that she's kind of been so reckless lately. Like, if Detective Gray was bluffing about having something on Stef, if he finds out about this warrant, now he really will have concrete evidence against Stef, and her job could be on the line. At least, though, they are bringing this whole case back up because I feel like we all kind of forgot about it, and it could have been one of those loose ends that the show even could have forgotten about that we would be wondering about later looking back on the show. But hopefully it will get resolved. Lastly, we have Callie, Aaron, and Ximena. Callie's still pondering what Helen told her, and Ximena tells Callie she should still appeal. Ximena also tells Callie that she just found out her parents' hearing has been moved up. It's going to be on Friday, and she's really worried, and asks Callie if she can put together maybe a short video from the footage she's filmed so they can present it to the judge in hopes that it helps with the case. Aaron then finds them and asks them if they're willing to speak on a panel the next morning about the impact of social media on politics, and they both agree to do it. Aaron and Callie then have a discussion about dating and where they stand relationship-wise, and if Callie's okay with Aaron seeing Amanda, who's actually going to be at the panel, and they decide, they still want to be friends and hang out, but Callie was surprised to see Aaron date someone so soon. Now at the panel, Amanda asks Callie what compelled her to be so committed to Ximena's cause, and then Callie opens up about how it's just the right thing to do, but also about her own experience in the foster system and how she kind of understands where Ximena is coming from in certain aspects. And the answer impresses not only Amanda, but the law professor. One person it doesn't impress is that jerk from the conservative club, or whatever it was called, that wouldn't give Callie the footage from the protest. He challenges her asking questions, and Callie handles it like a pro, spitting out facts about laws and how they're so old-fashioned and everything like that. Afterwards, Amanda thanks Callie for attending, and it turns out that Amanda's actually pretty cool and nice and impressed with Callie, which of course makes Callie not like her a little bit more because she's a really great girl, of course, and Aaron's dating her. Professor Kim also tells Callie how impressed he is with her and her knowledge of law, and Aaron jokes about how he always told Callie she'd make a good lawyer. Aaron then asks Callie if she's heard about UCSD, but she lies, saying she hasn't. Now, the night before Ximena's parents' hearing, Callie shows Ximena the video she made without music, and Ximena loves it, but she's still kind of just worrying about what's going to happen. Ximena then asks what's up with Amanda and Aaron because she got some vibes at the panel, and Callie expresses that she's really not okay with Aaron dating Amanda, but she's also not ready to get back with him, so she can't really hold him back anymore. Ximena asks if Aaron was not willing to wait for Callie. When Callie says that she didn't expect him to, anyone that ships Callie and Ximena heard something that they've probably been wanting to hear. Yeah, this line was for you.
I'd wait forever for you.
Brandon then comes in and interrupts, so we don't know how Callie is going to respond to what Ximena said, and he shows them the final video with his new music. At the hearing, the judge watches the video, the lawyer makes a statement, and a verdict is reached. The The judge tells Ximena's parents that they're going to be released on bond and given 30 days to get everything in order to figure out arrangements for Poppy, but they're still going to be deported. Now everyone is upset, but Callie still has that feeling of wishing she could have done more, so she decides to appeal the decision about UCSD, and instead of going with art, she goes to see Professor Kim and she tells him she wants to change her major to law. And yes, if Professor Kim looks familiar to you, it's because he is the same actor that played Emily's dad on Pretty Little Liars. So yeah, both of Emily's parents have made their way over to the Fosters because if you remember, Nia Peoples, who played Emily's mom, is Grace's mom. Just a random fun fact for you there. Anyway, I actually kind of like that this was the decision for him and his parents. You know, sure, we were all rooting for that happy ending, but if they had gotten that, I feel like that would be the glossy TV way to go. Like, I don't know much about these issues, but I feel like what happened is more true to life and happens more often probably than the other way around, the happy ending. So while not everything ends the way you want, it can still inspire change and motivate you, as we see with Callie. And like I said, it just feels a little more realistic. But I do hope that something good happens for Ximena and Poppy coming up. And, well, that wraps up the events of this week's episode. I still want Mariana kind of with Matt, that's my own selfish feelings, but Logan and Wyatt are turning out to be pretty good guys, so I have no idea how Mariana is going to choose here. I do hope, though, she learns that boys shouldn't be that important, and her schoolwork and that robot stuff is way more important, because it is cool to see a girl like her, you know, into science and math and robotics, you know, the whole STEM and STEAM thing. It is very cool and I feel like very inspiring for young girls to see on TV. So don't get distracted by the boys, Mariana. I'm also very excited at the prospect of Callie being a lawyer because I think she'd be really good at it, even though I do kind of also love her as an artist because I'm more into the art stuff. But hopefully she doesn't give the art up completely. And Stef, oh girl, she's taken quite a turn this season and I just want her to breathe, relax, open up to Lena about what's going on and not get herself into the trouble it seems like she is. Hopefully she finds a different way to go about, you know, this whole Malloy and Detective Gray situation that isn't illegal in any way. We're just gonna have to wait and see though how that plays out, but for now let's check out the promo for the next episode.
When I first got here, you said I wasn't disposable, and you've made me feel that every day since.
I don't want to leave you.
You don't have to keep creating these tragic love stories.
Where's Callie? Have you guys seen Brandon?
Dave might not be coming.
What?
The Fosters 2-hour spring finale event.
Welcome, students, parents.
Alrighty, it is that time for you to hit me up in the comments or tweet me and let me know all your thoughts about this episode. Do you think Callie is going to make a good lawyer? What will happen with Emma and Mariana, especially if they find out they're doing the same kind of robot? And whose is going to be better? Will Jude and Stef get caught in their lies? Let me know, then you can click right over here for even more recaps or my interviews, and be sure to subscribe if you like what you see. I'm Lisa. Thanks so much again for hanging out with me.